Alrighty, thank you very much for inviting us. And I've got some other stuff to show you around the basic use of the mobile devices as well. And just reiterating Adrian's point before is that as you step, many of you will know us as Back Paddock Company. We've been around the industry since 1996. But there's a fairly not so quiet revolution going on within Back Paddock about reinventing ourselves around what you probably, most of you would know as single user systems that you've probably been using for many years into a multi-user environment. And one of the key reasons for that is we just see this basis of being able to break down, I just call it unclogging the drains as far as all this information sharing is concerned. So just got 10 minutes worth, but want to try and give you a bit of a snapshot about how we're sort of going about that. And one of the things I want to say from the beginning as well is that wherever we see industry partnerships that just make sense in terms of the way you work on any given day, then we're really trying to pursue those as well. And certainly in the work that and the discussions we've had with EasyApp lately, there's very much a fit there in terms of what we do and the basis of what they do and how those two things might come together. So I guess a bit of quick background. I was just talking before about this sort of quiet reinvention, but one of the things for us is that most times we see, and most agronomists we see, generally you're always time poor. It's not uncommon to sort of see 55 to 70 hours a week. By the time you go and do your paddock load during the day and then go back of a night time and do that work that Adrian was talking about before, that catch-up work. I guess the biggest single thing that we see in terms of collectively driving everything forward is to give you all those tools in the field. And of course, mobile devices have sort of existed in one form or another for the best part of 2 decades, but really with the iPad coming along a couple of years ago, and particularly the iPhone as well, because there's a lot more of those out there as we speak than iPads, then I guess the core of that as well is it's the first time we've really seen the pervasive availability of these devices in a way that you can pick up the applications for them. And that's happening across all industries, not just agriculture. The core one as well, and you'll certainly see a lot of our work, is in the way the information flows, particularly between the advisor and your farm clients, and the way that we might be able to easily and quickly and easily share information in the process of a day in the life of providing an agronomy service to a farm client, and on their side, a day in the life of running what are substantial farming operations these days. So I won't get caught up in this. I just wanted to quickly explain, though, that there's multiple levels to this whole planning basis. So when you go from a sort of a single user system to a multi-user system that an entire enterprise might use, one of the things we need to be really mindful of is that we want the subject matter experts in a particular crop type to be able to define exactly the way that particular business should be managing that from a production cycle perspective, and then inherit that all down into the actual solutions, so that firstly you can share the information a lot more easily, but the other thing as well is that you haven't got a whole bunch of individual people that are continually reinventing the wheel by creating the same structure. The next level of that for us is at a template level, so we still haven't gotten to the level of an actual farm or a paddock or a management zone, but the notion of defining in that particular example for a particular crop type for a particular district, just the standard template that we'll use. And of course we can share that across many advisors. Next level down again, from our perspective, is then getting down to an actual farm and paddock level for an individual customer, but having inherited about 80% of the detail for an individual plan that we need to be able to start that process, and then obviously just tweaking it on a per farm basis. The other thing for all of you that are familiar with Back Paddock, either from an advisor or a soilmate perspective, is there's a new term, and you'll hear it talked of a lot, called corner post. And corner post is basically exactly as the name suggests, it does the heavy lifting as far as synchronising all of this information we're creating either on the mobile device or the laptop, or in fact across different vendors. So in the way that we're planning this integration is that an advisor out in the paddock doing an agro app using the EasyApp application will simply synchronise the information that we need back to corner post and make that available straight back into the production plan. So quickly flicking through that, Adrian highlighted the point, and we did too, there's very much a need right through the industry that whatever you're using out in the paddock has got to be able to work offline. We just wanted to highlight that point, that we use the internet collectively to be able to synchronise the information once we come back into range. There's a core design assumption that you're not going to have range ever, and you need to be able to deal with that in a fairly robust way. So I just wanted to make that point. We also have done the basis of a paddock recommendation, spray recommendation application. Certainly in the context of how we drive that going forward, it's probably quite likely that we'll keep that at a pretty basic level, because we really like the work that the Easy App guys are doing. But nonetheless, I wanted to just quickly show you that in the context of that standard process that you need to follow, that we can provide that as well. What I want to flick across and do though is just show you on the app the basis of, in our world as well, as many of you would be aware, we're very involved in the agronomy side, and a lot of that is about the notion of soil, plant tissue, water quality, fodder quality, all of that laboratory testing process that we need to follow. So firstly, I spoke just quickly before about Corner Post. Corner Post takes the information by way of trading name, farm, paddock details, and all of the planning information that you've created in the production planning environment, and inherits across, or populates across, if you like, the information that you need down on the mobile device, so you're not having to recreate it. So I've just jumped in here. I'm going to just do a quick pre-log of a soil sample so that we can get a sample off to the lab. So in this context, I've chosen a particular trading name, just going down into a farm level, and then choosing a particular paddock to be able to take a sample from. You can see I've done one there before, but I'm just going to create a new pre-log sample. The first thing I need to do there is just choose the lab, and I can see Charlie sitting up there somewhere, so I probably should choose the Nutrient Advantage lab. And you can see as well there, the first thing the device has done is picked up the long lats, so that we record right from the beginning the basis of the actual geotagging as far as where the sample was taken from. That's pretty important, by the way, because we're seeing a lot of people that use static sites year on year for the basis, it's got a typo there, for the basis of being able to get consistency as far as their testing regime is concerned. So the basis is here, as you can see, that there's a couple of fields there that say they're required, and there's a couple that say they're optional. I'm going to flick through pretty quickly, just to I wanted to sort of demonstrate to you how quickly you could prepare a sample in the field. First thing I'm going to do there is just choose which particular IPL test I want, and then give it straight from the consumables that we provide to you, which already has the barcode on it. I'm reading that straight off there. So in this instance, I'm just going to enter the details. Even though it's optional, there's a couple of reasons why in this instance I actually want to be able to put in just the actual surface test details that I'm doing. So what I've done there is captured enough information to be able to send that sample off to the lab. So if we just have a quick look at that, what that would look like. Again, if you're familiar with SoilMate and the way the process worked in the past, you'd handwrite what's called the sample order form, and that goes with the bag with the barcode on it off to the lab, so that I can identify who it's from and the basic details. The other end of that process for SoilMate is that ultimately the lab then uploads that information straight up into SoilMate Web, and you can download that directly into the application. But for now, in the context of that, is what the application's designed to do is it knows already which lab this is for, so it's creating an email event that goes straight through to the lab to pre-notify them as well that there's a test coming from that particular area. That's going to be a real boon for them, because it's a very difficult thing logistically to always have enough staff on hand in the lab. The more pre-warning we can give them of what's coming from where, it gives them a real leg up in terms of testing. So enough on that for now. So where might we go with that from there in terms of just rounding out and bringing that back into the next side of things? So what we're about there is being able to then take those soil test and plant tissue test histories, all of the laboratory histories, and bring them back into the production planning engine. And the whole reason for that is there's a bunch of them, but not the least storing that under one roof. The next side of that is in terms of actually being able to present that back out to your farm customer, a farm client, there's a whole bunch of things that you may want to do. You can see there's one that Tom's prepared for me before, just mapping coal pea status across the farm. The other side is a very very useful one this time of year around just mapping what your residual chemicals are, so when you're doing your rotation cycles. What I wanted to end with though is we started this discussion by saying we're trying to unclog the drains as far as information sharing is concerned. So one of the things we needed to do was come up with a way that you can give your farm customer a thing called Back Paddock Reader, which is in fact Back Paddock Advisor or Manager, but we've made the database read-only. So you can distribute to all or some or all of your farm customers. But the basis is that when you do the things that we just stepped through, the most fundamental thing that Cornerpost does in the background is synchronises that back to their file as well. So they can jump online, do a quick update, and they can print any of those reports that we've done, or they can email that spray rec through to the boom operator, for example. But the main thing is as well is it's a way of being able to more easily share the information and the process you're following. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.